Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Daily Magic. My name is SlytherinKnight, and I'm so happy you could join me. Today's daily is just to cast 20 white or blue spells, so we're going to try another variation of this Azorius Fliers deck. This one comes from JVillain MTG, fantastic channel. Actually helped me understand a certain mechanic in this deck that I didn't realize you could do, which so definitely go check out his stuff. Fantastic work. So, this is a Fliers deck. It's also kind of a pseudo-Angels deck because, well, most Angels have flying, and there's some kind of nice things you can do with just a couple of them. So, let's get into it. Momo friendly Flier. This whole thing, this card apparently is a lot better than I initially thought it was, because the utility of dropping the cost of a non-lemur Flier, the first one you cast on your turn, by one is really good. And the more I think about it, yeah, that is really good in terms of like mana efficiency, if you want to go with that, with like mana efficiency. So that makes sense to me. He also gets, Momo also gets a +1/+1 for whenever you cast a creature with flying, only for that turn, but still that can rack up after a while. Requisition Raid to make all of our stuff a little bit stronger, or for artifact and enchantment removal. Get Lost for removal. Obviously, same thing with Shelter by Ghost. Predominantly, we're going to be wanting to use Shelter by Ghost on Wonderweave Aerialist to make this a Flyer. Very cool. Giada does what she does. She's a fantastic card. Each other angel you control enters with an additional 1/+1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control, and then you can tap Giada to add white mana. Spend this mana only to cast an angel spell. So like with Momo and Giada, that makes some of these guys really, really cheap. Youthful Valkyrie gets stronger every time you play an angel. Air Nomad Legacy gives creatures you control with flying +1/+1. We don't really care about the clue token all that much, but it is there, and if we have mana left over, we can use that to get some card draw. Empyrean Eagle, again, other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So the idea is trying to buff up our creatures with stuff that gives them, additional power. Exemplar of Light. We don't have a whole lot of life gain in this deck. Predominantly, does Aang? No. Predominantly something that is attached with Shelter by Ghost gets lifelink, but for the life gain to make this guy stronger. But other than that, it's just a good angel card, all things considered. What else? And then finally, Aang, Swift Savior. Now this is the card that I didn't quite realize this is what airbending can do on a flash creature. As you see, flash flying. When Aang enters, airbend up to one target creature or spell. So apparently you can use this as a pseudo counter, is how I understand it. Say, the example that JVillain gave was your opponent is sending out a board wipe on their turn. You have enough mana to send out Aang, so you airbend the spell that they are playing. It goes back to their hand. They have to pay 2 to use it again, but they may not have the mana to do that, so it like pushes it to the next turn. So I didn't realize that's what you can use Aang for. So yeah, kind of interesting. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So let's get into it. The deck relies on having flyers, which some decks, if your deck doesn't have ways of dealing with flyers, sometimes that's it. So yeah, if your opponent doesn't have a whole lot of removal, or doesn't have creatures with reach or flyers themselves, sometimes that's just a lot of free damage. So yeah, we'll give it a shot, see how it goes. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but I'm going to hold on to it. Because we didn't get a Momo, which is fine. There are only 2 copies of the card in the deck. I just don't really want to use the wild cards to make 4 of them. But yeah, so this could be bad. I don't know. That is one thing that'll probably, this version of the deck will suffer. Having a lot of copies of Momo so that you can get Momo very early is probably better. But it is what it is. Then again, if our opponent doesn't wake up... Oh, there they go. I was going to say, if our opponent doesn't wake up, we might get a free win out of this. So, a high chance this dies. Though I'm not sure there's a whole lot of 1-drop black mana that does 3 damage. Oh, well yeah, Caustic Exhale. That'll do it. Yeah. Joy. Okay. I need some blue to be able to cast this, unfortunately. I wonder. Non-land permanent. So I could grab Terminus. Yeah, I could very well grab Terminus here. Okay. So what you gonna discard? Another Caustic Exhale. Really kind of taking their time on this, aren't they? Oh, thank you. That could come in handy. Yeah, you could get rid of Youthful Valkyrie here. It would be very unfortunate, and I would be very upset. Yeah, I do forget about... Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I do forget about Deadly Cover-Up being a board wipe that black does have. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Kind of hoping they don't have another, but they probably do. Because I'm assuming that's kind of what this deck is. I mean, this is Dimir Control, isn't it? Stock up, okay. So we have a little bit of time, because it leaves them with 3. Rude. Very rude. What is it? I want to see. They don't. Yeah, they don't have anything in their graveyard that they would want to pull back. Or yeah. Yeah. A little better late than never, I guess. Destroy all creatures. Great. Oh, those Sozin. Ah, board wipe. Board wipe after board wipe. You don't have anything that can counter that, right? Or unless they have like a spell pierce. Caustic breath, of course. And they should just be able to play their River Regent. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Yeah, this is too bad. What else does Sozin do? Yeah, I'll admit we're in a bit of a bad situation here. Because I'm having to rely on just my top card. I'll let this go for probably a turn, a couple more turns, just to see like what else we can pull. But at the moment, they're set up pretty well. They have a lot of cards in hand. They have a lot of options. Yeah, they have a lot of options in hand. That yeah, this isn't gonna go well for us. And destroy all creatures. Requisition Raid, go ahead and do that. And destroy enchantment. But with that, once it goes through, I'm probably just going to concede. Just because at this point, yeah, I don't see me winning this, trying to, draw one card at a time. So, unfortunate. Yeah, that board clear came exactly when they needed it. Really is too bad. And, well, sadly, I think that's where we're actually going to wrap up things for today. That match took a bit longer than I would have anticipated. And, yeah, it's alright, though. The deck does have, the deck does what it does. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate our opponent had a board clear. And that's really all it is. Either way, that's going to do it for the matches, or for the match today. But we're not quite done. Let's open up a couple of packs. See if we can drown our sorrows in rare and mythic rare cards. Okay, nothing new here. That's unfortunate. What about the Avatar set? A mythic, alright. Alright, could be interesting. Nothing new in the commons or uncommons. Planetarium of Wan Shi Tong. Alright, it's a 6-cost legendary artifact. For 1 and tapping scry 2, whenever you scry or surveil, look at the top card of your library. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Do this only once each turn. That can be ridiculously good as long as you are able to essentially top deck something powerful. So, yeah, not terrible. But with that, like I said, we're going to wrap things up. I'll definitely hang on to this deck for the moment. Just, probably use it a little bit more, like in between matches, just to see if that, to see if it still works relatively well. I think it does, because the whole concept of making your Flyers that much, making your Flyers something that is hard to deal with is pretty powerful. So, yeah, we'll definitely hang on to it for at least a little while. yeah, with that, we are going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this episode, which I do sincerely hope you did, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button down below. And if you happen to be new to the channel, hello, welcome, and please do consider subscribing. And to stay up to date for whenever new content is released, don't forget to hit that bell icon after you subscribe. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. And I will see you all next time.